I was like, I need to pull up one more thing, and I forgot what it was, and I remember I was like, oh yeah, Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
You
okay.
pull that up, and then we'll be good to go.
All righty. Well, we're recording, and I'm muting, and I'm about to finger you, Janet.
Oh snap! That's gross. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the flagship, premium, and international podcast of LRMonline.com and the Genreverse Podcast Network. I am one of your hosts today, Joseph Jammer Medina, joined by my birthday-having co-host, Nicholas Dalius. Hi, Nick.
Thank you.
It's early, right? Is your birthday actually tomorrow?
It's Sunday.
It's Sunday. Okay, but
We're
I know
recording
that
on Friday for everyone out there.
Yeah,
and it's premiere, not premium. I like to change to premium though for the podcast.
What did I say? Premium? Premiere? Oh yeah, premium.
Which is nice. It's a nice upgrade. Thank you for the birthday wishes.
You're welcome. And today we have a couple of interesting stories, some stuff that dropped more recently, some big Lord of the Rings news, some It news, and Mando Season 4 news. I know we haven't even had Season 3, but we're talking Season 4. That's how crazy it is this week. But we can't talk about any of that before we talk about our feature film for the week, which I only saw. I know you. I know.
It was work. It's a real excuse.
I know.
I couldn't even refund my ticket. I don't pay for tickets, but I couldn't even refund my ticket fee.
Here's the problem. The annoying thing, and this kind of segues into my perspective about the movie. Cocaine Bear is a movie that I'm sure I would have loved in college. It is a movie that nowadays I'm like, that's a funny concept. I'm glad I watched the trailer for that. Don't really want to watch the movie for that. That sums up exactly what I was expecting. That sums up exactly what I got out of Cocaine Bear. I think it really just proves how much I am not a college student anymore. Like how much I am not in that demographic. I'm not in that I want to watch this and laugh at how ridiculous it is type of person anymore. I don't want to watch Snakes on a Plane. I don't want to watch Grindhouse. And that's basically what this is. If you saw the trailer for Cocaine Bear and you want a movie where a bear has a lot of cocaine and eats a lot of people in over-the-top horrific ways, this is the movie for you. If you don't want that, you should not watch this movie. It's plain and simple. And this is actually when I was interested to hear your opinion on it, but apparently I'm the only one who saw it, and I didn't want to see it. I did not want to see this movie.
I was excited.
I did not want to see this movie. I cannot stress when I saw that, and you're like, I'm going to watch Cocaine Bear. I'm like, I don't want to watch Cocaine Bear, but all right, I'll do it for the podcast.
That's the only movie this week that anyone's talking about.
Don't care. So this is one of those instances where I'm not going to grade. I will not give Cocaine Bear a grade because...
Why not just C for cocaine?
This is not for me. This movie is not for me. And the thing is, I think the movie accomplishes what the audience would want it to accomplish. It wasn't what I wanted to see in a movie. I just didn't want to watch it. It's not for me. And it would be like me rating Inukai Son's dog. That show is not for me.
Avoid it.
I'm not going to watch it
at all costs.
And it's just not for me. So I don't want to go out there and go like, oh, it's a C, because I actually don't know if it's a C. There are lots of elements in it that I do like. There are lots of there are fun characters. I really enjoyed a lot of the characters. In fact, I was like, I would love to watch these characters outside of a context of a cocaine bear horrifically mauling people. And unfortunately, it was surrounded by horrific scenes of mauling bears. I don't know. I am not a squeamish person. Gore doesn't bother me. The gore in this movie kind of bothered me. I am not going to lie. There's this one scene.
Is it because it's more realistic?
No, it's not realistic. It's over the top, but there's something about it. Like maybe there's one scene where a guy, spoiler, he's at the top of a tree. the bear goes up to him, crawls, and like kind of he's sitting on the tree, and then he bites his leg, and then he like hangs back. And as he's hanging back, you see blood dripping down, and you see his face whitening as he's slowly draining of blood and slowly dies. There's another scene where a guy's wrist gets ripped off, and you see it flopping around like sideways. He's going, oh, oh. There's a scene where this guy's head gets blown off unexpectedly, and it's too much. I don't like it. And as Nick knows, I don't like mean-spirited things generally in my entertainment. These were very mean-spirited deaths. And I just did not like them. I did not have a good time watching them. I felt more squeamish watching those deaths than I did watching any Halloween movie.
What did the critics say?
So the critics, this movie is currently sitting at a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes with 123 reviews. And it's an 83% on audience score, but only 100 verified reviews. So I'm assuming it's just not a whole lot of people have seen it just yet. Mm-hmm. It's not exactly a Marvel movie. It's Cocaine Bear. So I mean, obviously a big difference, but I don't know. This, like I said, there were good elements to it. If you go into it, be like, I want to watch a bear on cocaine mauling people in horrific ways, and I want to laugh. I think this movie will probably deliver on its promise, the promise of its title and the promise of its trailers. But I did not enjoy most of it, even though I could objectively look and notice there's a lot of good elements I like. They had good cast. It had a really good cast. You know, had Alden Ehrenreich in it, who was great. O'Shea Jackson, great. Kerry Russell was kind of in it a little bit. Ray Liotta in one of his late performances, or his final performance. I think there's 3 others that he's going to be doing. He was a relatively mild role, but he was still, I'd say, an important role in the movie. I think he was fine in it. They have the girl from Home Before Dark, which is the Apple TV series. Mm-hmm. She's also great in this for the limited time that she has. And honestly, just made me want her to play Scout Finch in a To Kill a Mockingbird adaptation, to be perfectly honest, because she had like an accent. I don't really know if it was Southern, but I don't know. It could have been. Anyway, this just wasn't for me. That's all I'll say. But, you know, good for you, Elizabeth Banks. I'm always happy to see you doing good. And this movie just delivers on its promise. But do you have any questions at all?
I was just going to say, does it have, I know it was just produced by them, but does it have any, they've been pushing it heavy on Twitter, any Lord and Miller magic to it at all? Or is it just, because I was expecting their influence a little bit in maybe some kind of humory way, even though they're not directors.
I don't know if there's any sort of signature quick humor back and forth. There's probably if I watched it again, there are probably a couple things that I could point to as that are a result of them, but I'm not sure it's like, it doesn't feel like, 22 Jump Street style stuff.
Just like, I'm sure it doesn't feel a lot like Pitch Perfect either, because Elizabeth Banks directed those,
right? No, it doesn't.
This is a different direction, I think, for her.
different direction.
So no Cocaine Shark.
I don't know what Cocaine Shark is.
People are joking that's the movie she should make next, and she said maybe because during the marketing of this movie,
if people like Cocaine Bear,
during the marketing of this movie, they found a bunch of cocaine like in the ocean floating like off the coast of Australia. So people are like, Cocaine Shark.
That's funny. So it's funny. I looked up
what the
true story was behind
Cocaine Sharknado.
There you go.
Cocaine Anaconda.
I was looking up the true story for this, and the true story about this movie, for those who are wondering, the movie opens. Does it open there? Yeah, with a guy in a plane. He has like a whole bunch of cocaine in this plane, and he's just like carelessly tossing it out. And he's also high on cocaine, and he has like his parachute on. He's got a bag of, I'm assuming, either cocaine or money. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, I think it's cocaine. But anyways, he goes like, woo! And then he jumps out, and as he jumps out, he hits his head on the top of the door and doesn't open his parachute because of it and dies. And apparently that was true. That was true what happened. And then also the bear eating the cocaine was the other thing that was true, but none of the other stuff was true.
No,
so literally
obviously
it's
the
just
rest of it's a horror
the
movie.
basic premise. I wouldn't call it a horror movie. It's not a horror movie.
Not even
It's
a horror comedy, just a gory comedy.
It's a gory thriller comedy, I would say.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm sad I missed it because I did want to see it. I still want to see it.
I'm bitter because I did not want to see. I saw the trailer and I'm like, this is what I'm going to be getting with this movie, and I don't want to experience that. I watched it. This is exactly what it was. At least I'll get to discuss it with somebody. Nick.
Work.
You couldn't go to a later showing?
Want to buy I didn't even get home till like 8:10.
You couldn't go to a later showing?
6:55. No.
There were later showings.
Yeah, I know. By that time, I don't know. I already lost my money, not completely, but
no, you didn't. You subscribed
I lost
to their
my fee. I lost my service fee already.
I'm so bitter. I get a freebie. I'm just going to decide one movie that I'm like, I'm not going to cover it. Nick, you're talking about it yourself. And it's a movie that I hope you hate.
Make him cover Suzume unlocking or Suzume locking the doors.
Dog.
I wouldn't wish that upon
Which
Nick.
I haven't even seen that, so I have no idea.
No,
I'm assuming it's trash.
Even upon Nick.
Oh, dude, it's it was a serious bait and switch, because what looked like it was going to be standard ecchi dude gets stuck in a dog is picked up by hot chicks. You would think, oh, he watches them undress, he nuzzles their chest, whatever, right? That's what you would think. No. This is a girl who's a little too much into her dog.
What the fuck? What does she do with the dog? Does she have sex with the dog?
Not yet. Not yet. But definitely definitely towing that line. Yeah. It's a pretty messed up show.
Okay then.
Exactly.
Cocaine Bear. If it got
any other questions about Cocaine Bear before we move on?
No, I think I'm good.
Are you sure?
I
watched 95 minutes of this for this conversation, and I want to make sure that we get as much mileage as we can out of Cocaine Bear for my troubles.
Most excited for, as I looked it up later, even though I couldn't make it. I was like, oh, it was only 95 minutes. That's exactly how long movies should be like that. So at least they didn't shove 2 hours of Cocaine Bear, or
bitter.
Traditional these days 3 hours of Cocaine Bear.
I'm so angry at you.
This is Scream all over again.
This is Scream all over again. Except at least you showed up. So
yeah,
there's that.
I'll show up.
So let's go ahead and transition from Cocaine Bears to really prestigious fantasy filmmaking. I'm talking of the highest order, the one franchise or the one trilogy
to rule
that has garnered so many awards. Has garnered, what was it, 11 Academy Awards back in 2003 or 2004?
You mean the Pity Awards? Because the other two movies deserved it more than the movie that got the awards.
I think they were deserved. Personally. I don't think there was anything on there that was undeserved. It was a series. It wasn't like the other two were better. It was like an entire trilogy, like an entire story culmination type of thing, personally. At least that's what I think. But I don't know.
Okay.
The award ceremony sucks, so who cares? But
True.
We're talking about Lord of the Rings. And no, I know you're thinking here, oh, the series on Amazon? Oh, no. It's not that easy. So the series is owned, yes, by Amazon, but they don't own the film rights. So it's only natural that at this time, we would see some competition. On Thursday, this past Thursday, so over a week ago at this point. No, yesterday. Was that yesterday? That was yesterday.
That was yesterday. That's why we picked it. It's a fresh story.
Yeah, I was funny because I was about to say last Thursday. I was like, this is late. I was like, wait, no, this was last minute. It was yesterday on an earnings call. David Zaslav, the man himself, who's all about the money, rolling around it, Breaking Bad style. He announced that newly installed studio leaders Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi have brokered a deal to make, quote unquote, multiple films based on the trilogy. So this comes to us from Variety, They'll be developed through New Line Cinema, which makes sense since, you know, they developed it there originally, kind of. It kind of started off at Miramax and then transferred over eventually, but that's a whole other story. No filmmakers have been attached. We don't know how long it's going to be. We don't even really know what the premise is going to be. What are they going to be doing? What age are they going to cover? Is it going to be a remake? Who knows? But Peter Jackson, along with Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, who were collaborators with Jackson, said that, they said that they have helped, or excuse me, let me try this again. Jackson and his collaborators said that Warner Brothers have kept them in the loop every step of the way. And they said, we look forward to speaking with them further to hear their vision for the franchise moving forward. So we don't know what their involvement, if at all, is going to be. But I guess it's kind of nice to know that they're there. They're aware. It's amicable with whatever happens. Anyways, let's see here. So free mode. And so I'm reading this right now just to make sure we get the nuance because the rights situation is very confusing. Mm-hmm. The division of Embracer Group made the adaptive rights deal for the books, including Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. The pact will be under the name Middle-earth Enterprises.
It's like the Wizarding World covers all the Harry Potter movies, or Ghost Core for Ghostbusters, when really they're just focusing on one franchise.
Yeah, so as we know, so DeLuca and Abdi left MGM last year to take the helm of Warner Brothers. Their exit followed the acquisition of MGM by Amazon, the tech giant that owns the TV rights for Lord of the Rings and produced, the season that we saw. And this is what CEO of Free Mode says: following our recent acquisition of Middle-earth Enterprises, we're thrilled to embark on this new collaborative journey with New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers, bringing the incomparable world of J.R.R. Tolkien back to the big screen in new and exciting ways. We understand how cherished these works are, and working together with our partners at New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers Pictures, we plan to honor the past, look to the future, and adhere to the strongest level of quality of production. So, I have a question for you, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who I believe, didn't you say you recently rewatched the trilogy?
I tried to watch the extended cut, and I was like,
you failed.
Nope, I didn't. I made it like 20 minutes into Fellowship.
Okay, well,
I did that because I watched the Amazon one. So I'm like, time for a rewatch.
What did you think? What do you think of this news? Is this something that you're looking forward to? If so, why? If not, why not?
Lord of the Rings is something I was way more into when it came out originally. Like, I was super into it in like middle school, high school, even though I never watched the extended cuts, and I actually own them now. Just somehow I have a digital copy of them. Don't know how I got it. And like I said, I tried to watch it and I just couldn't get into it. I'd be down. I watched the Amazon show because it was Lord of the Rings.
What'd you think?
I enjoyed the Amazon show, and of course, I'm not so steeped in the books that aren't Lord of the Rings, like the Silmarillion and stuff, that I can be pissed off about changes like Cam. But that would be so they own the rights to that one too, I assume, because Amazon's kind of
Silmarillion. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? We don't know specifically. The rights to Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth is confusing as all hell. I don't know what if it's like, oh, they have rights to certain appendices, to certain works. I don't know. Kyle looks like he's about to enlighten us a little bit.
From when we were covering Rings of Power, Cam went into quite a bit of this for a bit, and you guys can find that one on the LRM online YouTube channel. Look up review of the Rings. But basically, Amazon has a sandbox in the Second Age. They cannot make anything that would have an effect on the Third Age, which is the story that we know the Lord of the Rings books are Third Age. So even though they have a sandbox within the Second Age as far as some time compression, the events that are set in stone in the Second Age, they can't change those, but they can play around them and within them. but no choice. They can't kill someone off that's supposed to be third age. They can't do anything like that, and they also cannot adapt certain elements of the third age at all. So like they can't change it. They also can't use it. They can't have it. And the reasoning I don't think has been made overt, but it seems to be they can't use that because it would muddy up movies that take place during those books. So like Jammer said, it's weird, but really the TV rights are quite extensive, but also very, very limited because you're in the middle of something. You know, you're not in front of it where your sandbox is biggest.
Well, here's what I would like to see from it. If I were Warner Brothers, no remake yet. Those movies are too beloved. But start as far back as you can, even the first age, and then work your way up. And by the time, kind of Fantastic Beast style, only hopefully better. And then by the time you get to Lord of the Rings, maybe in 10 years, then you decide if you wanted to redo those. And I would prefer am I here? You guys are all frozen. Oh, you're not frozen. You guys just aren't moving at all.
We're just chilling. I'm listening to you.
You were both so still. I was like, I would like it. I would prefer Peter Jackson was minimally available because I also like to have it to have kind of a new look, especially after what I thought were disasters in the Hobbit movies. So I'd like a fresh look.
I don't know, okay, go ahead. I thought you were done.
And then you start as far back as you can, and then decide later if you need to remake Lord of the Rings. Because I still feel like that's so beloved, you wouldn't do that for like another.
I don't
40
even know
years.
if the thing is so confusing. It's like I don't know if they could do what you're saying, because you mentioned that the second age is what Amazon has rights to, so they can't even do the first.
They have TV rights only.
TV
rights only, so they could do it.
Theoretically, as far as what I understand. Unless there's some small print, kind of similar how they said Amazon, you can't affect the third age. These rights, this final contract, when this is all said and done, might have something that says you can't do anything that affects the second age because of the TV rights. But as of right now, no, there's nothing really to keep Amazon or Warner Brothers from exploring the first or second or third ages that we are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like Star Wars, I'd like them to go in a different era completely. Even let's see the first age, work on that, and then work your way up. And don't.
Yeah, but they could do it. They could do it all in films, and they could actively contradict what happened in the Amazon series if they wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
They?
And I'd say keep it different than Amazon's, like in that way. Because I think, and that's because Amazon does not feel like the same world at all. It does feel like it's a different version of Lord of the Rings. It doesn't feel like Peter Jackson's stuff.
Why? But you just say right now that you want it to be a different style.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that's why it doesn't feel like the Lord of the, I don't know. I think and I guess if they had the TV rights, I'd be like, this should be an HBO Max series. But because it'll fall right into their Game of Thrones pocket and probably even be bigger than Game of Thrones because it's Lord of the Rings.
See, that's where I'm kind of similar with you guys. What do you think about? Because the first age is really like God like. It's all higher beings that are several levels higher than even Gandalf and Sauron and shit like that. So you've got an opportunity to show the creation of this
Clash of the Titans style. Essentially,
I mean, high fantasy with high beings, immortal beings duking it out on a think Garen Lagann there, Jammer, but with Lord of the Rings stuff. Would that interest you guys?
Yeah. I'd have to see what that's like. And I don't know, because it could be too weird.
I don't need to change the style a lot. Like, I'm not expecting something flashy in Edgar Wright. I'm just saying, like, kind of get a different design. I mean, if it's that much of a different era, you don't have to design everything the same.
Sure.
But that's what I would like to see.
I mean, I guess
definitely don't expect and wouldn't want to see a reboot yet.
The only thing, as far as what you're saying, like make it different from Amazon in the second age, that's just, I'm sure purists would just be like, oh, I hate everything. There's 2 versions of the same era. What's gonna happen?
I think the purists would prefer the Warner Brothers version because they're allowed to use the straight material without doing weird. Because there are just things they fill in that don't exist in.
I'm not sure
print.
Either of us can fully understand the depth of what they have to make that claim. To be perfectly honest, I don't know.
I've heard some of Cam's complaints, which are literal like changes to continuity.
But do we know that
there were changes in the movies? The movies had changes as well.
But they honored it. Like they were just like they mostly cut stuff in the movies. It's not like they deviated from the
Arwen's whole thing is additional.
But that's from the appendices, isn't it?
I'm not sure on the specifics. I just know she's not as big of a deal in the books as
she's
this
non-existent
movie.
pretty much. I think when
they just need a love interest.
They changed.
It was someone else that rescues them at the river, and that wasn't even that big of a deal in the book. It was like
it's not a big deal, period. Yeah. And then purists are just like, I hate everything. Why did you change it to Arwen? Why did you get rid of Tom Bombadil?
That's the thing that I felt even about The Hobbit. I'm like, really? You're going to do 3 movies about The Hobbit and no Tom Bombadil? He was great.
No, he wasn't.
I enjoyed those parts of the book. He's fun.
I come from a very specific perspective. I don't enjoy the books. When I read them last, I did not enjoy the books. I enjoyed the story. I don't enjoy how it was told. Tolkien has no sense of dramatic tension. He was just like, oh shit, this is a big problem. Let's wait 20 years before we do something about it. It's like me and my taxes is basically how hobbits act in freaking Lord of the Rings. Anyway, I think we've talked enough about Lord of the Rings. Let's move on to another big franchise that is getting an embellishment, so to speak. But this comes to us from a Deadline, having to do with another big franchise, It. That's right, Stephen King's It, the 1,200-page tome about a horrifying clown set in the small town of Derry. And guess what?
Interdimensional being who dressed like a clown.
The interdimensional being, all that stuff. There's going to be a prequel TV series coming to HBO Max, or I guess streaming series coming to HBO Max. It's being called Welcome to Derry. And it's being developed by Andy Muschietti and Barbara Muschietti, who were both responsible for it and Jason Fuchs. I don't know how to pronounce that. And he did It Chapter 2 and Wonder Woman. I know I'm pulling a Nick. I generally am just unfamiliar with that name, so
I prefer to think it's Jason Fuchs, but
Jason Fuchs.
That's what his friends call him.
It just reminds me. So there's this pho truck,
and
it's called Pho King Rapido, and when you get your food ordered, it says you're so it says it's a queue, and this says you're up in the pho queue. So good stuff. Anyways, set in the world of the universe, it's going to embellish on that world. I don't know how, but here's a comment from Stephen King. I'm excited that the story of Derry, Maine's most haunted city, is continuing, and I'm glad Andy Muschietti is going to be overseeing the frightening festivities along with Brain Trust, including his talented sister Barbara. Red balloons all around. And Andy also went on to say, as teenagers, we took turns reading chapters of Stephen King's It until the thick paperback fell to pieces. It is an epic story that contains multitudes far beyond what we could explore in our It movies. We can't wait to share the depths of Steve's novel in all its heart, humor, humanity, and horror. And Mr. Fuchs added, to be able to return to the world of my all-time favorite horror novel and help build upon the singularly brilliant cinematic universe created by Andy and Barbara is more than the opportunity of a lifetime. It's a dream come true, or maybe more appropriately, a nightmare.
Ooh, Fox chooses his word carefully.
Yeah, he does. Nick, do you think there's a lot to be explored here in Welcome to Derry, and are you excited for this HBO Max series?
Yes and yes, much more than Lord of the Rings. I mean, there's plenty to explore in Lord of the Rings, but as far as excitement level, the book does go a lot. They reference them really briefly in the movie, all the tragedies that have happened over the years, but the books go really in depth about like this happened in like 18.
Singular.
The book, you're right. Like this happened in like 18, whatever, where like there was a big fire. And it was like a black club, and they even like flash back to the characters, not just like say, "Oh, this happened." They're like,
Right.
This character was living. They had like a black club, and it was burned to the ground, and everyone inside died. And there's a story about soldiers on a base and something. Because bad shit happens every time he shows up. Which, whatever, it's always the same time period that he's hibernates for.
You mean he hibernates for the same number of years? And then wakes up.
Yeah,
every
exactly.
23 years, I think
length. Yeah, something like that. So I would say, especially with the title "Welcome to Derry," they go all the way back to his arrival, and then maybe cover in different seasons, a different time period, is what I would want to see.
Welcome to Derry is going to be what Eternals should have been.
TV show.
Well, no, but also going through lots of eras.
Only in
one town. Anyways, go ahead.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff there. Because I kind of really forgot about it until Andy mentioned it. I'm not going to attempt the last name. Who of course is also getting a lot of Warner Brothers buzz because of the Flash. That there's stuff in the book, and of course they're going to embellish on a lot of stuff and build it out more. And I believe the article also said that Andy's going to direct a few episodes, which adds even more credence. I mean, I don't know. I already trust him. Especially if the Flash is as good as they say. He obviously rocked the It films, even though he made. I don't like that he divided it differently than the book, where it's the kids' movie than the adult movie, because the adult movie repeats a lot of the kids' stuff and even does flashbacks, and the kids are obviously older. But I do think there's a lot that you could explore and a lot to make up that would just make for a fun. Like each one's a different hibernation period or between them.
I'm still waiting for the combined movie that just basically combines the first and second movies and interweaves them like they do in the book.
Bring us Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair while we're at it.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Your thoughts, Jammer? Because I was a big fan of It Chapter 1, and then Chapter 2, I was like, this is pretty damn repetitive.
It is repetitive, but it's still good. I think it's still good. It's not great. And I like the fact that he's directing multiple episodes, which I saw coming. This does have me question how involved he will be in the DCU going forward, because I know there seem to be some hints that he will be involved going forward due to the quality of the Flash. But I don't know. There's a lot of projects on the horizon. There's certainly enough room for him to work on this for a year or two, then head over to DC once again to work on whatever project he wants to work on.
Directing and writing a few episodes and being executive producer takes a lot less commitment than like I'm writing and directing I don't know, executive Lord of the Rings. It depends.
A show is a lot of work.
Because he's not going to be like the showrunner.
He's not going to be the showrunner, right? That's true. Do we know?
It sounds like it's kind of more of a Spielberg, executive producer Steven Spielberg thing, where he'll give some notes.
So Mr. Fox and Brad Caleb Kane are acting as the co-showrunners.
See, I think that gives him time to work on Marvel simultaneously. Like DC. He could be directing a DC movie while giving notes on Welcome to Derry.
Sure. Okay. Any other concerns or comments regarding Welcome to Derry?
No, at first I thought it was a bad idea. Then when I read everyone involved, I was like, cool. I could definitely see that as being a fun HBO Max show that they can then just remove from the service and license out to someone else eventually.
But who knows? You're not bitter at all, are you?
I can't even watch some of their shows anymore because they haven't licensed them. Did you hear why they're licensing them to TV networks? We'll have to remove a lot of the violent and nude content from stuff like they're not even getting each other streaming services. Them? Like places, I'm sure, I don't know, like cable networks, not other streaming services.
Weird.
So I'm sure some other streaming services too. Like I was, Harry Potter's Warner Brothers. I was watching it all with my roommate, and then when we got to 7 and 8, they'd already been licensed off to Peacock, which I do not own. So, yeah.
All right, let's move on to more genre. Well, no, it's a lie. Both things have been genre friendly. Never mind. Yeah. I'm full of shit. But moving on to, I guess, more fanboy favorite news. We're talking about Mandalorian season 4. As you all know,
season 3 is released.
Yeah, as you know, season 3 has not yet come out. And we got some good news for those of you who are like, oh, the trilogy should have had a plan. The sequel trilogy should have had a plan. Well, guess what? Disney has heard the memo, and they're all about having a plan. So much so that season 4 has already been written in advance of season 3 coming out. So Favreau mentioned that he wrote season 4 scripts during season 3 post-production, stressing it's essential the scripts be done so the series can continue to fit into and anchor the larger framework of the Star Wars universe. He says, season 4, yeah, I've written it already. We have to know where we're going to tell the full-formed story. We mapped it all out, Dave Filoni and I, and slowly you start to write each episode. I was writing it during post-production. All of it has to feel like a continuation and one full story. Dave Filoni is doing Ahsoka, which I'm producing with him. He's the writer and showrunner on that. To understand what's happening on the other shows, Skeleton Crew all takes place within the same Star Wars time period. There's a lot more things we've got to keep in mind, and also stuff that we built up from the previous seasons of The Mandalorian, including the Book of Boba Fett, which, I'm sure you all know.
The Mando ups were good.
Anyway, that's all he had to say. But Nick, do you like this news? And does it make you more excited for season 3, knowing that it's all going to be existing in the same anchored framework?
No. It is kind of like that scoop you guys LRM had a while ago, where it's not exactly the same as Game of Thrones. It almost feels more like an MCU type thing, where it's like we're focusing on this time period. Ahsoka's already come in and out of 2 different series. If you count Book of Boba Fett as a different series than Mandalorian, because it was one of the Mandalorian episodes. Skeleton Crew I know very little about, but I'm excited for because I know very little about it. And obviously that Andor and Accolade are different time periods. But yeah, I'm a little, especially since I'm not super fond of us being stuck between I really want to see far out, like Knights of the Old Republic,
out, man.
Or different sides of the galaxy. But it's interesting what they're doing. It could be a lot of fun. I am glad there's a plan. He's written, at least when he wrote the story, keeping in mind the weaving in and out of other things. But again, I obviously like The Mandalorian a lot, not as much as Andor, but a lot. So yeah, I guess it's a mixed bag. I'm glad it's continuing. It'll be fun to see characters cross over, especially after they have their own series and aren't just setting up the new series like Ahsoka showing up. But yeah, I still wish they would have more time periods involved in there, and we don't just focus on like the 60 years that is the 3 original trilogies.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where it's like, I think it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I think being able to go in and make sure you're on the same track, especially when you're juggling so many different stories and so many different crisscrossing paths, that makes sense. But I The Mandalorian has always been okay to me. I like this. I love the feel and style of it. I've never been hugely invested in the actual series itself. I've never understood why everyone loves it so damn much. But good for them, and I'm happy that Star Wars is putting out shows that people like, and hopefully this continues that trend. To me, it just felt too much like a video game. It's just like Fetch Quest. Literally, it's Fetch Quest. Like the first season was literally him gaining his armor.
Second season, literally him doing one thing after another until he's allowed to meet the Jedi. We're told where the Jedi are at. Which is,
again, it's not bad. Yeah. It's just not for me. I get the appeal of that. It's almost like you're leveling up with him. I'm surprised they haven't made a Mandalorian video game. Imagine
It
that.
was
A
canceled.
Mandalorian video game.
canceled.
Well,
There was a
it wasn't based on this, but there was a one featuring well, I don't know if it was going to be Fett, but
Like
it was a
Underworlds or whatever?
Mandalorian character. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Long time
But, I mean, they
ago.
should make a new one. They should make one like literally that is just an open world. You get bounties and stuff. You basically take on bounties and gain
It could be
armors. and whatnot.
pre-Grogu days. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't make sense, but whatever. Who cares? Who cares? Star Wars fans don't care about continuity, right, Kyle?
Shut up. I do.
I know you do too much. Too much. It's too much. Why can't you just appreciate something like Ant-Man, where they say that, you're just decreasing the size between atoms, and yet you somehow can get smaller than atoms and go into the quantum realm, or that sometimes
quantum science.
Because they already wrote it to be that ridiculous. Star Wars wasn't written to be as stupid as it has gotten.
It's evolving.
Get the fuck out of
maybe
here.
into something
Did
you don't
not
like,
witness?
but-
Did you not
Devolving.
witness the Cantina scene in that first movie? It's so stupid.
What's
Well,
stupid
that
about
was
it?
the main Ant-Man
The
comparison.
freaking characters, they're so weird looking. Don't
Well,
tell me
that's
that
what-
wasn't
I'm not
meant to be
talking
weird
about
and quirky.
aesthetic.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking
All
about.
I could say is Last
talking about
Jedi
bright
is the
biker
best
gangs.
movie ever.
I don't think you can say that, Jammer.
I've heard audio otherwise.
I've heard audio otherwise. I've heard audio on.
No, but I agree. The biker
You
gang
want
and
fast dinner?
Boba Fett was awful.
I've heard
That's the
audio
kind of stuff
on
he's
the
talking about.
Cantina where you said something different.
Oh, you put that on the Cantina?
Yeah, you just put that in the Cantina. That's
Yeah.
true. This
Check
is
out
true.
Jammer's new hot take.
You got
That's my new hot take.
You guys
My new hot
want to?
take.
I guess you guys want to hear
I want to
Jammer's
hear
hot
what
take.
past Jammer had to say about the Last Jedi.
Yeah,
so let's
let's listen to
that.
what past Jammer had to say about
Cam would like
the
to
Last
hear it one more
Jedi.
time.
So let me go ahead and share this with Cam, and this, ladies and gentlemen, as Cam has disappeared because I guess it no
We're the
longer
same thing.
freezes your camera there. But here's our good friend Janet speaking about the sequel trilogy.
I, Joseph Jammer
put it on
Medina,
there?
do hereby solemnly swear that I hate The Last Jedi. I have never liked that movie, and I
Man,
only
he
pretended
hates
to
The
in
Last
order
Jedi.
to be in with the out crowd. It is an abysmal waste of time and effort. Ryan Johnson
it
should be
is,
ashamed of his choices for that shit show.
He should.
Oh yeah, and Kyle Malone is the greatest, smartest, and most amazing person on earth. Again, I am Joseph
Such nice
Janet
words.
Medina, and I swear by these words.
Oh man, that was so kind of you Janet.
AI is scary, folks.
AI
That's
is
the real
scary.
story there.
Yeah, so that's really impressive. For those who don't know, I did not say that, or did I? But no, literally, Kyle is an AI mastermind, and I gave him 2 minutes he's an AI novice, and I gave him 2 minutes of audio for other purposes, and then he went on to produce that, which is really impressive and crazy. This is the world we're living in.
I'm
Someone else
surprised he
makes
didn't
all the
include you
stuff. I
doing.
just feed it data. That's all.
Fair.
I'm surprised he didn't include you doing drugs like all the secret ones he shared with us, where he loves making jokes about whoever's voice he's imitating. We were not sharing that stuff because he's just having
What are you
fun.
talking about?
How the one of the ones I used has someone asking for the cocaine they were promised for the voiceover work.
And meth. I believe there was a lot of
And,
meth
yeah,
in
and
one of the
there's
ones.
another one about meth and making sure you
So
have
I'm
a
surprised-
good method. Don't do drugs that aren't legal where you're at.
Anyway,
That's a good message. Don't do drugs.
Mandalorian season 4. Will you be watching season 3 when it comes out on Disney Plus in a week?
Excitedly so.
Excitedly so.
Won't you?
Cool. Probably.
Why wouldn't
I never
you?
I never
Hello.
liked. I guess that's not true. I did finish begrudgingly Obi-Wan, but
This is way different than Obi-Wan
I
for me.
dreaded that. I know that, but
Obi-Wan was a mess.
yeah,
Mando's
Obi-Wan
been
was-
entertaining.
I'm really
And
sad about
My boy Pedro. He's blown up
you're
so
like-
big he might not wear
more-
the helmet anymore.
more than anyone I know. I don't know anyone who like goes and sees some movies for actors as much as you do. Like you're the one person who's just like, oh, my boy Pedro, I gotta watch that movie.
Well, to be fair, there have been. I don't think I have ever seen a movie just for Pedro, except for Prospect, which is
You just said it. You just said that. You literally contradicted yourself in the same sentence.
Well, that was just something I rented because he was in it. And
Yeah,
but
you
now-
just contradicted yourself, Nick. You just said
Well-
I've never watched a movie because of Pedro, except this one
Except
movie that I got just
That's
for
a
Pedro.
classic Nickism. But it's a classic Nickism. But like, I mean, the other stuff I was gonna watch anyway, like Wonder Woman, was obviously something we were gonna watch. Kingsman, I was more excited that he was in it, but of course I was gonna see Kingsman too. But yeah, I'm just really excited that I think now he's gonna get a lot bigger stuff because I've been on that Pedro train since Narcos, and now like everyone's noticing
Game of Thrones.
him.
He's been in big things consistently. He is,
but he's never the focus. I mean, a Mandalorian, he is, but at the same time,
Last of Us,
you never see his face. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Last of Us is what blown him up to a point where he's on SNL. He's probably gonna get all kinds of movie deals, like Star Wars, Marvel, something fresh, maybe if that exists out there. He could be a James Bond villain. You know, he
fresh.
Could
what the hell's fresh?
That's what I'm saying. If there's any like a fresh franchise, if there are any out there,
gotcha,
like original project or book that hasn't been adapted, something
originality.
There's lots of things.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying.
There are lots.
Not a lot of high grossing things.
I mean, there's lots of stuff that hasn't been adapted. Like there's plenty of books and all that could be turned into that.
I just think you're gonna see Pedro as the lead in a lot more movie projects coming up.
Let it be noted that you never disproved what I said about you. So
true. Well, isn't he in one with Oscar Isaac on Netflix and Ben Affleck?
How is that remotely related to what I just said?
I don't know. There's one actor I would say who I definitely do that with.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise. I wouldn't say even the Marvel actors. I've never gone to a movie just because it was Chris Hemsworth. Streaming's different, where it's like, oh yeah, I'll throw on Extraction. I'll watch Extraction 2, even though I didn't like Extraction that much. But it's different than going to a movie, I feel, just for an actor. But
sure. All right. Any last words about Mandalorian Season 4 before we close out today's episode?
No, I would like to give a very brief Picard review because I've been enjoying it so much. Very brief, way shorter than Cocaine Bear. I just feel like I've enjoyed all the seasons, but it feels like a huge step forward. From the very beginning, it's a Riker and Picard show. And Riker is an even more enjoyable character for me. And they've been taking a lot of big swings that have so far been hits. Not like, swing and a miss. And since I'm not a big next gen guy, it's not as important to me that they work in everyone, but it's fun seeing someone pop up. But it is interesting. It feels the most like the JJ movies, even more than the ones that are less connected to the original stuff, like Discovery or Strange New Worlds, because one of the ships looks just like Nero's ship, and they kind of even use the same like music / like sound effect for like seeing this gigantic ship. It's been a lot of fun with new weapons and like city destroying weapons, which also reminds me of JJ's Kelvin timeline. And I just, even if you've been not a fan of the other Picard, I would say the first 2 episodes are solid. I'm not one of those reviewers who gets 6 episodes at a time, but yeah, that's my entire review of the first 2 episodes of Picard. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. All right. Well, this wraps up this episode of Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast. Thank you so much, Kyle, for acting as our producer as you do each and every week. Much appreciated. And this isn't the only series of podcast things that you can be watching here on the Genreverse Podcast Network. We mentioned a couple times already. We got the Cantina, which is our Star Wars podcast. We have Marvel Multiverse Mayhem, which is our Marvel podcast. We have Cup of Genre, which is our morning show. There's spin-off genre shots, Anime-Versal Reviews, AVR Squared, and I think that's it.
Future AI shows that are just AI generated.
That are just AI generated. That'll be really cool. But yeah, that's it we have for today. Thank you so much. Nick, where can people find you?
Well, thank you, Jammer, for sharing all that premium content that we have.
Of course.
Bring it back to the beginning.
Yes.
At Geeky Nick Doll on Twitter, and I've been more active on Instagram with just stupid photos and videos.
You
also
can
at
follow
Geeky
me.
Nick Doll.
You can follow me on Twitter at AJ Cerna Writer, and eventually I'll get back to TikTok. I think it's also AJ Cerna Writer. I should check on that. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all next time. Hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on ya.